Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all those things that give us joy. One of the things giving me joy today is that we are joined by 3C Films himself. Chris Parker is here. Chris, how you doing, sir?
Always a pleasure to be here, John. Thank you for having me.
Always awesome to have you here. Of course, our technical producer, Jonathan Voico, is here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in.
And most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. And then in the second part of the show is when we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an issue you'd like me to address, as long as I deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and use the super chat feature and fire that on in, and I will get to those in the second part of the show. All right, guys. That all down, let's get things started off here, shall we? We're going to start off with this. Well, Mandalorian and Grogu may have been a self-admitted bust by Disney, and it was. Again, I still can't fathom who thought it was a good idea to do a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I just can't wrap my head around that. Anyway, but I always said, even before Mandalorian and Grogu came out, to me, the real return of Star Wars to the big screen is going to be Star Wars Starfighter. And now there is a report coming out. And as you know what, before we even jump into it, I should say this. This one, because I cannot independently verify the information, for now we are going to file this one firmly under the rumor mill. Okay. So keep that in mind. It is being talked about on some pretty big outlets, but until it's validated completely, just keep a little grain of salt in the back of your head that we're going to count this one right now as a rumor, although it does seem there is some stuff to it. Here's what's going on. IGN is reporting, at least on whispers they're hearing, that Star Wars Starfighter, again, to me, the actual return of Star Wars to the big screen, is going to possibly drop their first trailer tomorrow night at the big Disney Motion Pictures presentation at D23. So the Disney Motion Pictures presentation at D23 is not just Marvel. So it's Disney Animation, it's Pixar, it's Lucasfilm, it's Disney Pictures, it's Marvel. So it's all those things, right? You guys remember a couple years ago, they did a really cool one where they did it from the arena that the Anaheim Mighty Ducks play in, something Comic-Con should take some notes from.
It was a fun presentation.
Oh, it was a really fun presentation.
Really well done.
They did some really cool. And when they marched out the cast from Agatha All Along, and all the cast came out singing the big Agatha song, like everything about it was really cool, done very well. Excellent presentation. I'm not a lover of D23. It can burn in hell as far as I'm concerned. But credit where credit is due, that was a very good presentation. It was an excellent presentation. They're not doing the same thing this year, but it is coming up. And of course, they're going to be talking about this. And they're saying they're going to be talking about Starfighter and that they're going to drop. Now, the second part of this report, first part is that they're going to drop a trailer for it at D23 tomorrow night. The second part of the report is that don't you expect to see it? Because the second part of the report says that not only are they dropping a trailer tomorrow, they're not then going to drop that for the public until December.
Ooh.
So
in front of Doomsday, I'm
September,
guessing?
October, November. I mean, like maybe
you said September or December?
No, December.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So that they wouldn't be dropping it till December. To which I have, well, good luck with that, keeping that under wraps. But also, so we're in August, September, October, November. You don't think you're going to change the trailer in 4 months, but whatever. So both parts of this report or rumor could be true. Both parts could be false. One could be true. The other could be false. We'll find out tomorrow night. But look, I'm going to say this about it. I don't think it can be overstated at this moment in time how important Star Wars Starfighter is to Star Wars brand as a whole right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because coming out, well, first of all, even just going into and rolling into Mandalorian and Grogu, despite the tremendous victory that Andor was, Star Wars is on shaky legs, right? I mean, by putting out subterranean crap like The Acolyte, Book of Boba Fett, I mean, the list goes on. Yeah, they've had some pretty decent things too. Skeleton Crew, I thoroughly enjoyed, obviously, Andor. But yeah, Ahsoka was disappointing. Obi-Wan should have been great, could have been great. Wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it was also pretty disappointing. And then I won't even get going on the Rise of Skywalker. I won't even go down that path again about Rise of Skywalker. So I think it's fair to say that going into Mandalorian and Grogu, Star Wars is on shaky legs. It's still got its legs, but shaky legs. And then they make the incomprehensible decision to release a movie for the first time in 7 years based on a television show that had a pretty weak third season, and they put Mandalorian and Grogu out. And, you know, if that's any indication of what we're going to get in the Dave Filoni era of Lucasfilm, we're in for a rough ride.
The
So
Ahsoka movie.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I would not be shocked.
You know what?
It's being talked about.
I'm going to give Dave Filoni the benefit of the doubt, and even he's got to know he can't do that. He's got to know he can't do an Ahsoka movie, please. Even he knows that, I would like to think. So it again brings us back around full circle to the idea of Star Wars Starfighter. There is so much riding on this that, yeah, you got to follow up. Andor is great, but Andor is a blip, right? Greatest thing Star Wars has ever done since the original trilogy, but it's one blip in a sea of mediocrity. You've got to follow it up now, especially coming off of the failure of Mandalorian and Grogu, which again, I don't want to make it sound, guys, like I'm saying Mandalorian and Grogu was the worst piece of garbage ever. It wasn't. It had its upsides. It wasn't terrible, but it's not what Star Wars needed at that moment. And Starfighter needs, listen, I'm not going to say here, guys, that it needs to be a 10 out of 10, but it needs to knock it out of the park. It needs to be pretty good. Yeah. So I like the idea of them starting a small groundswell. We're still almost a year away from the movie, but start a small groundswell, release a trailer tomorrow would be great. You don't have to put it out online for everybody yet, because you don't necessarily need to start building the bigger level of hype now, because then that'll just dissipate and it'll wear off. So I like the idea of it if it's true. So Chris, let me ask you this. Whenever we get rumor mill issues, I always ask the same two questions. Yeah. The first one is, how likely do you think this is true, that we're going to get a trailer tomorrow night, but they may not release it to the general public, much like they didn't for Comic-Con with the Avengers trailer? And then the second question is, assume for a moment that it's true. How would you feel about it? What do you think about this?
No, yeah, I could definitely see it happening. I do think that they would probably show, if not a trailer, at least a clip or some sort of just tease, even if it's like a 10-second thing build up, just lean to showing what Ryan Gosling will look like. And it's got to be something also worth wanting to talk about outside, because it's not going to be something they release to the public, but it's got to be something that people are like, whoa, when you guys see this footage, Star Wars is back. Like, and that at least will build some sort of, and Disney's been playing with that angle. I mean, how many times did they show the Doomsday trailer before it finally went to the public? And that's all, people were talking about. But I'm very curious to see when this comes. And you were so right about how important this movie is. And to me, it's also just like, what do audiences want from Star Wars is kind of like what I'm wondering is, the Mandalorian Grogu thing could be chalked up to a lot of people going like, oh, I didn't watch the Disney Plus show, or the confusion of, oh, I thought this was a Disney Plus thing, or like that. But like, here you have Ryan Gosling, I would think big star. And it's Star Wars. You would think the name alone sells the tickets, but it's like, what does it need to be for audiences to go, oh, that I want to watch that? And so I'm kind of curious to see how they go about marketing this one.
Yeah, we need more imagery because right now all we're getting is, and we've shown them in the show today, but a black and white still of them leaning against the land speeder, and another shot of them seemingly lost at sea. Like we need to see something more than this now, you know?
Oh, I like that comment from
Yeah,
Marcus
they're-
Y.
It's 'cause like, oh, yeah.
Little callback
Barbie
to
gave me my
last
fix.
week.
You know
Very
what?
good callback.
I'm not sure if Gosling is fit enough. Chris, can you get on that real
Yeah,
quick? Make
yeah,
sure he's
I'm not
fit?
sure. That reminds me of like one of my favorite movies of Ryan Gosling's is Crazy Stupid Love, and which is guys, if you haven't
yeah.
seen Crazy Stupid Love, it's
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling, Steve
Carell.
Carell, Emma Stone. But there's this great scene in it where Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are together, and Ryan Gosling takes his shirt off, and she's like, "What the hell?" She goes, "You look like you're photoshopped." That was the line. That was a great line. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Word is that they might be dropping a first trailer, even though the movie is pretty far away, but for Star Wars Starfighter tomorrow at D23, but they may not be releasing it online for everybody just yet. Do you think they're actually going to do it? Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, Spider-Man Brand New Day just keeps conquering more and more record mountains with how just incredibly big the movie is. It, of course, already set the all-time record for the biggest opening weekend in history, a record that I low-key thought maybe would never be beat, and it came out and beat it. And now it's marching towards maybe becoming the all-time biggest domestic box office film in history. Well, in that crusade, whether it gets to it or not, it just crossed another significant milestone. According to a story in The Hollywood Reporter, Spider-Man Brand New Day has just become the fastest movie ever to hit $700 million at the domestic box office. I believe right now in grand total, it's sitting at somewhere around 704, 705, something like that. Sitting at the 700 million is the fastest ever to do it. To give you guys some context about just how big of a deal that is, we go over and take a look at this chart. These are the fastest films to $700 million domestic ever. Spider-Man Brand New Day, of course, the brand new record setter, has done it in 13 days. At number 2, Star Wars The Force Awakens in 16 days. At number 3, Avengers Endgame in 16 days. Now, you might be wondering, why is Star Wars number 2 and Avengers number 3 if they both did it in 16 days? The reason the charting puts Star Wars above Avengers is because at the end of the 16th day, Star Wars had made more domestically than Endgame had. That's why it's positioned a little bit higher than it. But a virtual tie. In fourth spot was Spider-Man No Way Home. That did it in 32. Look at that jump.
Oh, wow.
From
That is
16
insane.
to 32. But then look at the jump from 4 to number 5. Avatar was then the next fastest one to do it domestically at 72 days. So, yeah, now, in the grand question of will Spider-Man Brand New Day ultimately break the domestic box office record, it is still running a pace ahead of Star Wars The Force Awakens. However, it is actually outpacing is shrinking. It was 5 days ahead of Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Then at one point it became 4 days ahead of The Force Awakens. Now it's at 3 days ahead of The Force Awakens. So it's going to be close. It's going to be close. Spider-Man Brand New Day needs another like 240 something million domestically to do it. It's definitely got a shot at it, but it's definitely going to be close because it is losing that gap. As every day that passes, the gap between it outpacing The Force Awakens is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. Can it get over that line before the gap disappears? It's definitely got a shot. And so again, guys, we just look at this. And by the way, let me throw this in here too. We're often talking about the incredible results the movie's getting. You know, how fast it got to $1 billion, how the biggest opening weekend, now fastest 700 million. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that this is just a freaking awesome movie. Like the movie is fantastic.
Mhm.
I've now seen it 3 times. Twice in the Dolby and once on Screen X, my first ever experience watching a movie on Screen X. And I just have an absolute blast watching this film. And I can't wait to go back to watch it another 2 or 3 times. I mean, tonight I'm going to go see End of Oak Street. But you know, over the coming weekend, I'll probably see it at least one more time, and probably another time next week. I still got a couple of friends who haven't seen it yet that I'll use that as an excuse to go back to see it again. So anyway, Chris, we're looking at these numbers now.
Yeah.
Yet another milestone that Spider-Man Brand New Day has set. Fastest ever to get to 700 million, the domestic box office. It's closing in on Star Wars The Force Awakens. So how significant is this? How big of a deal is this for Spider-Man? And for you, where does this put it for you in terms of, can it actually catch Star Wars The Force Awakens as the biggest domestic film of all time? What do you think?
No, I was not expecting this at all from Brand New Day, to be honest with you. You know, you think of the big event film that was No Way Home and everything that was involved with that, and you think, okay, that is probably the peaking point for Spider-Man. Every Spider-Man film from here on out is probably going to be trying to catch that No Way Home numbers. The immediate film afterwards did it, and I think that's a huge testament to Spider-Man himself. And I'm even, you know, a little bit talking with Star Wars. We talk about things that maybe have hurt the brand or audience interest. I mean, those Sony spin-off films did nothing to weigh in people on Spider-Man. Not, you know, that they would have, but still, you know, you would think associating it might hurt it. It did nothing, and Spider-Man is just immune to a lot of that. I'm for sure curious now, like where they go from here. If they feel more confident that as long as we just tell a good story, the audience will be there. Because I'm sure Sony had those conversations of like, do we keep multiverse stuff? Do we keep throwing in Toby and Andrew to try and squeeze that money? And they went smaller scale, and it's worked out for them. As far as getting that record, I'd love to see it, John. I'd love to see it. You never know with how big the slowdown goes, but I think it's quite possible it's going to overtake it. And it's being the first billion-dollar domestic movie. Do you see that as a thing?
I mean, well, first of all, like first things first, it's got to get past Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But then it has to make what, another, Jonathan, maybe you can correct me on this. Then it would, if it did catch Force Awakens, it would need to make like another 60, another 70 on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 65, 70 on top of that. So I mean, it's within the realm of possibility. It could do it. But like, to your point, Chris, I admit easily that going into, in the months leading up to Spider-Man Brand New Day, like I was like, oh God, this movie's going to be huge. It's going to be a massive hit. It's going to make all the money in the world, but I don't think it's going to be as big as No Way Home, because you don't have the whole hype and novelty of Andrew and Toby and the big multiverse mix up. And it's the first real big major film after Endgame, and not as quite as many people are going to the theaters right now. We're still, I mean, we're getting close to being recovered from the pandemic, but an inconvenient truth is we're still in recovery mode of the pandemic and the writer strikes and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, hey man, the movie's going to be huge, but it's not going to be as big as No Way Home. It's going to be bigger than No Way Home. I mean, so it is really incredible to see what this movie is doing. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Spider-Man Brand New Day has now become the fastest film in history to get to $700 million domestically. It's now setting its sights on that record that's being held by Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Can it get it? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, we thought, you know, since it's Thursday and we've got 3C in the house, we thought we'd play ourselves a little game of overreaction. The way overreaction works is really simple. We jumped on the YouTube channel's community tab a little bit earlier today, and we asked you guys to send in your hottest of hot takes. And then Chris and I will adjudicate whether your hot take is indeed an overreaction or not an overreaction. So, Jonathan, what do we got up first?
All right. First up, Chris, we've got Awesome Shane here. And Shane says, Coyote versus Acme will become the highest grossing Looney Tunes movie of all time after great word of mouth spreads.
My heart wants to say it's not an overreaction, but my mind is telling me, unfortunately, I think it is going to have a box office struggle. But man, I am believing in the power of the internet that something happens where we just get together and everyone shows up to this thing. But I think the toughest number it would have to beat would be the first Space Jam, which is at 250 million.
Mhm.
And I feel it's going to struggle to hit 100 million, unfortunately.
In the words of the since disgraced Vince McMahon, no chance in hell. That is a massive overreaction. It has no chance. I mean, I'm like Chris. I have loved the trailers. The reviews have been excellent.
Mhm.
I want it to succeed. But the reality, like Chris just pointed out, the target, if you're saying it's going to be the biggest Looney Tune movies of all time, the target then becomes Space Jam. That's $250 to $260 million
Right.
at the box office. Coyote versus Acme right now is being projected to open to 6 to 8 million.
Oh,
6 to 8 million. I love the enthusiasm about maybe 100. I don't even think 100 is at play here. Now, I think word of mouth, like if the movie is as good as everybody is saying it is and that we're hoping that it is, and positive word of mouth, that opening weekend, which would normally mean a movie would in total make like 20 million bucks when it's all said and done. If it's as good as everybody's saying and we're hearing, well, that little opening of 6 to 8 million could translate into 50, 60 million, but I'm afraid we're talking about 50 and 60 being the ceiling. And like everybody hates it when I say it, but again, that's okay because it's often lonely being right. At the end of the day, when this is all said and done, Warner Brothers is going to be proven to have been right, that they didn't feel that the movie was going to be able to make back enough money to justify a full theatrical rollout with a full marketing campaign. And everybody booed and hissed and all that kind of stuff. But I, number one, can't wait to see this movie. I believe it's going to be great. But I also believe at the end of the day, it's Warner Brothers is going to be proven that they were right to decide that they couldn't release it. And they gave it over to Ketchup Entertainment. And I'm going to hope for the best. Hope for the best. But thinking that Coyote versus Acme is going to pass $250 million, yeah, I'm going to file that one under a massive overreaction. All right. Jonathan, what do we got up next?
All right. Next up, John, we're going to go over to you from Knight Rider. The change from Kang to RDJ as Doom and Doomsday was the right choice.
Oh, that's not an overreaction at all. Dare I say, I wouldn't even call that a hot take. I mean, look, the reality is this. The legal problems that Jonathan Majors found himself in, completely notwithstanding, Disney was going to move away from Kang anyway. I think the Jonathan Majors legal issues just kind of became a pretext to do it. The reality is this, and I say this with all due respect because I love the MCU and huge respect for Kevin Feige, love Kevin Feige, everybody knows that. But the reality is this, Disney botched Kang. They botched Kang at every step. If you are trying to introduce the heir to Thanos in the MCU as the even bigger big bad, you cannot end his first appearance by him getting killed by Sylvie with the stabby. How the living fuck am I ever supposed to take this character as serious as Thanos or more serious than Thanos when he gets the stabby? And then they botch him again. And then we get into Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and all we've got is, no, trust me, bro, I'm a bad dude. Oh, wow, he must be a bad dude. What's he doing that's so bad? Nothing. Just trust me, I'm a bad dude. Okay, then. I guess when a bunch of ants come and attack, you're going to have no problem with that. Nope. Then he gets beat by Paul Rudd. He gets beat by Paul Rudd and a bunch of ants.
Paul can throw down. Paul can throw down.
Yeah, don't underestimate Paul. I'm like, how are we as the audience? Because you know what they did with Thanos when we first really met him? He beat the shit out of the Hulk. before he became Hawaiian shirt family barbecue attending Hulk. That's how they introduced Thanos to us. Thanos beating the crap out of Hulk, right? So the entire process of them trying to set up Kang completely neutered him. He was neutered. They cucked Kang. And so there was like nowhere, like, so, and it's too bad because he could have been such a great, new phase villain for them, but they had to move on from Kang. They had no choice but to move on from Kang. And listen, all you had to do about whether getting RDJ was the right guy to play Doom, look at how the internet exploded. That's all the answer you need. So I'm going to say, not only is that not an overreaction, I don't even think it's a hot take. Anyway, Chris, what do you think about it?
No, I also agree. Jonathan Majors controversy aside, I just was not getting into the Kang storyline and the buildup they were having with him. And Feige noticed it himself. They made the right choice to move away from that. I think if they even just recast and did continued on with that, would not be something as exciting for me as it is like Doomsday is right now.
All right.
All
That
right.
down, guys. Let's get on to the next one here. Jonathan, what do we got up next?
All right. Next up, Chris, is this an overreaction? We're going to hear from Hayden Chilcote. Doomsday will make more money than Secret Wars.
Ooh, I've not heard that one before.
That's a hard to say, but I'm going to say overreaction. Doomsday, because we still haven't felt the full swing of the Doomsday marketing yet, so it's yet to be seen how they're going about that. But I mean, you're leading to Secret Wars, which is supposed to be even crazier and bigger. But it's also dependent on if Doomsday is good. Because, I mean, if Doomsday ends up being bad, then I think that'll hurt Secret Wars. And then, by default, it'll make Doomsday probably have more money. But I'm thinking Secret Wars is going to go big, and they're probably going to have a lot of surprises and stuff like that to show quick. So I'm going to say overreaction that Doomsday makes more.
100%. This is a big overreaction because now look, obviously, like Chris, you're saying, if Doomsday sucks, well, that's going to hurt Secret Wars. But then at the same time, if Doomsday sucks, it ain't going to make, $2.5 billion if it sucks. But look, let's just say, let's neither go positive nor negative. Let's just say that Avengers Doomsday is simply on par with the other Russo brothers MCU films. On par with Winter Soldier and Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame. Nothing special. Just on par with those, the movie's going to be great. It might not be, but for now, let's assume neither positive nor negative. Let's just assume the middle. The middle, in this case, is great. And if Doomsday is great, it is only going to fuel what happens in Secret Wars. It's only going to increase the hype of Secret Wars. So, I'm going to have to say that thinking that Doomsday is going to make more than Secret Wars, I'm going to call it, an impossibility, no, but I'm going to call it an overreaction for now. All right, Jonathan, what do we got up next?
All right. Next up, we're going to hear from Diego Serrano. So, John, is this an overreaction? Street Fighter will make more at the box office than Mortal Kombat. We're talking big dollars here.
Big money here. Actually, Jonathan, can you look up for me how much Mortal Kombat made? Listen,
Sure,
I
if you want to depress me.
I think there are two things that can be true at the same time. Number one, Street Fighter is going to be a bag of flaming garbage.
So worldwide 129
is what Mortal Kombat made.
Mortal Kombat 2.
So I think the first truth is that I think Street Fighter is going to be steaming, smelling garbage. It looks terrible to me. I'm cheering for it. I want it to be good. I'm going to go in opening day and I'm going to hope that it's good because I love just about everybody that's in it. But I think it looks like absolute garbage. That is true. The second truth is also true. It will easily beat Mortal Kombat 2's box office.
Wow.
Because here's the thing. Mortal Kombat 2 was carrying the baggage of a really bad Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh,
yeah.
Right? Like Mortal Kombat 1 was terrible. I had fun with Mortal Kombat 2. I did. So I had a good time with it. Do I think it's great? No, but I had fun with it, whatever. But it was carrying that baggage. Street Fighter is carrying no such baggage. Yeah, there were some movies like a decade ago. Nobody connects those. Nobody's associating those. This Street Fighter is coming out with a clean slate, and it's coming out fresh, and it's coming out new. And on that basis alone, I think it beats Mortal Kombat 2. And on top of the fact, it's got some really good recognizable names in there and some people I'm excited to see. And I think they're like Mortal Kombat 2. I think there can be some fun in it. So I think the movie's going to be terrible. I hope it's great, but I think the movie's going to be terrible. But I also easily think that it's going to beat Mortal Kombat 2's box office. Chris, what do you think?
What was the phrasing of the question so I know what to say? We'll make more. I actually think it's a coin toss, John. I don't know.
Really?
I think, you want me to be honest? I'm more of a Mortal Kombat guy, like we're talking about the video games and things like that. But I actually thought that Street Fighter trailer looked fun. I liked how campy and colorful they're going. I know.
So let me get this straight. I think it looks terrible, but I think it'll make more money. You think it looks great, but you think it'll make less money. We couldn't be more opposite on this.
Yeah.
The truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, because even though I do think it'll be fun, I'm also just like, well, just to me, I see that as the same market, the same audience demographic, and so if that's kind of the floor, 129, maybe one, I see it also struggling like to make decent money, but I think I'm going to have a fun time with it. But you're right. It could be this year's Borderlands, which is what I thought when I heard the cast. When I saw the cast of the movie, I thought.
I had completely wiped the memory. I had a Doctor Strange spell on me about Borderlands. Until
Thanks for ruining that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going to say overreaction because I think it really is. It could be 50-50.
All right. Jonathan, let's get to our last one. What's next?
All right. Last one up here. I think we end with Chris. Is this an overreaction from Mark Sipp? Spider-Man Brand New Day will be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Oh, and I didn't even laugh when I read that.
I love the movie. I think it's an awesome Spider-Man film. Probably my favorite Tom Holland film. Huge overreaction. I just know. I mean, even just looking at already some of the competition we've gotten and things like the Odyssey and what's coming up, I don't see there being a spot for Spider-Man.
So you're a Snyder bro is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Essentially.
Yeah, listen, I'm in a interesting predicament here because I absolutely love Spider-Man Brand New Day. I love it. I've had so much fun with it. It's one of my favorite films of the year. But I think it getting a Best Picture nomination might be an overreaction. Like when you look at films like Project Hail Mary, The Invite, we got Digger coming, The Odyssey, and we've got a whole slew more coming this year. It's going to be tough. I'll say this. By the way, I think Obsession is going to get a Best Picture nomination.
Interesting.
I could see that.
I think Obsession gets a Best Picture nomination. I had an absolute ball with Spider-Man Brand New Day. And you know what? I'll say this. I will not fall out of my chair with shock if the morning they make the announcements for the Best Picture nominees, if Spider-Man gets mentioned. I won't fall out of my chair with shock. I believe it'll end up in my top 10 favorite films of the year. So if I was an Academy voter, I would probably get it a nomination. But yeah, I don't see it happening. So I'll say overreaction. Somebody's saying not Backrooms. Oh, hell no. Hell no. Hell no to Backrooms. Backrooms. I don't think Backrooms was any good at all, to be honest with you. But anyway, but yeah, I'm going to, unfortunately, I'm going to say that I think believing Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to get a Best Picture nomination. When I look at the lineup that we're getting, this is going to be a strong lineup this year, guys. A strong lineup. I'm going to guess that one's probably a little overreaction. All right, guys. And that will wrap up our session of overreaction. Thank you to everybody who submitted your hot take. Remember, guys, keep your eyes open for the next time that we put out a call for submissions, and make sure you send in your hottest of hot takes for us to adjudicate whether it's an overreaction or not. All right, guys. With that down, we still have a couple of other things that we got to talk about here, including there's been a couple of new little developments in the Paramount saga, but I'm seeing a lot of misinformation out there about what's going on at the Paramount. So I am very quickly going to break down and give you everything you actually need to understand, break some of the myths that are out there about what's going on with the Paramount lawsuit and how it can be fixed, and that the Disney-Fox merger is actually going to point the way for how to fix this Paramount issue. On top of all that, we're going to talk about the thing that caught us all by surprise today. They dropped the first 5 minutes of the upcoming series Lanterns Online. Spoiler alert, I thought it looked really good. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we get to all that stuff, we're going to take a moment here and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at Ultra Pouches. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Ultra Pouches. A lot of people use nicotine thinking it'll give them a little extra focus or even help before a workout. But nicotine is a vasoconstrictor. It narrows your blood vessels and can actually work against that pump and recovery that you're looking for. That's where Ultra Pouches come in. What you're really going to like about them is that they're 100% nicotine-free and caffeine-free. They're designed to give you smooth energy and focus without the nicotine crash. Pop one in before a workout or when you're sitting down for a long work session, and it's an incredibly convenient little boost. Ultra is the ultimate guilt-free pouch, delivering instant focus and mental clarity without nicotine or caffeine. New customers can use the code CAMPEA to get 15% off at takeultra.com. That's TAKEULTRA.com for 15% off with the code CAMPEA. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that our show sent you. And thank you to our friends at Ultra Pouches for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. So the Paramount lawsuit continues to go on, and there's a lot of stuff and a lot of moving pieces, and quite frankly, a lot of misinformation out there that people for some reason kind of believe. Included in all that is the belief that there's no possible way this thing can settle. I think there still is. Now, despite the fact that David Ellison has recently, proven himself to be High Lord of the Dickweeds by holding, 5,000 to 8,000 jobs in California hostage. Besides all that, there is still an avenue to which this can all get worked out. But we're going to talk about a couple of things here. Now, this all comes in the light of a brand new development where Paramount is now saying that they are willing to put CNN on the table. Ooh, what's that beeping?
I think it might have been John.
That Paramount is saying that they are willing to put CNN on the table to resolve the California suit. To say, okay, we'll cut CNN out of the deal, and that won't be it. But the problem is, CNN's not the issue. Now, this is going to get into starting to address. We got to address a number of things that people think about this lawsuit that are simply not true. And therefore, by believing some false base things, you will then believe false things or things that don't make a difference later on. For example, if you thought the thing holding up a Paramount merger with Warner Brothers was CNN, that's incorrect. That has really actually little to do with it. One of the biggest misconceptions out there about, this merger is that, number one, there's no basis in law for it. It's just a political thing. It's just a political thing. And while I'm not naive enough to believe there's nothing about this that's political, I'm not that naive. But it is actually based on just a straight black and white law. We're going to talk about that law. There's also this, you guys have seen this, I'm sure, spoken 1,000 times. All you guys at home have seen this too. People saying, well, they never tried to stop Disney taking over Fox. I've seen that a million times. It's not true. We're going to get into all of that. And then we're going to talk about these things and how these things can actually set up and possibly give us a solution to maybe end this Paramount Warner Brothers merger stalemate. All right. the first thing that we need to talk about here as we kind of step into the Campea classroom for a moment. The first thing we got to talk about is, why are those states suing to stop the Paramount and Warner Brothers merger? The answer is because it breaks the law. That's it. It breaks the law. Will what law? Here it is. You've heard us mention Section 7 of the Clayton Act. Here's exactly how it reads, okay? Now, it's a little dry, but believe me, it's important, so just hang with me here, okay, guys? Section 7 of the Clayton Act, which is the cause for this whole thing, reads this: no person engaged in commerce or in any activity affecting commerce shall acquire, directly or indirectly, the whole or any part of the stock or other share capital, and no person subject to the jurisdiction of the Federal Trade Commission shall acquire the whole or any part of the assets of another person engaged also in commerce or in any activity affecting commerce, and here's the big part, wherein any line of commerce or in any activity affecting commerce in any section of the country, the effect of such acquisition may be substantially to lessen competition or to tend to create a monopoly. I want to read that last part one more time, okay? This is the basic gist of everything going on. The law, Section 7 of the Clayton Act, that everybody keeps hearing being referred to, says we're in any line of commerce or in any activity affecting commerce in any section of the country, the effect of such acquisition may be to substantially to lessen competition or to tend to create a monopoly. So basically speaking here, Section 7 of the Clayton Act says one person cannot buy another company and another company cannot buy another company if the effect of them buying that company or buying the shares of that company creates less competition, substantially lessens competition, or tends to create a monopoly. That's the law. That is the basis of the law that the attorneys general of all those states are suing Paramount under. Now, if you are an eagle-eyed, keen observer, as I know many of you educated brethren are, you will have noticed that it's a little shaky at the end, because listen, look what it says. It says you're not going to allow these acquisitions if they substantially lessen competition or tend to create a monopoly. Well, what does it mean? How much is lessen in lessen competition? How much does it require to tend to create a monopoly? It's not really clear. It doesn't set a definitive threshold. It's not like plain text directly laying out how much would they have to buy in order to qualify as lessening competition or to create a monopoly. Well, that was a question for a long time. But then in 1963, again, I know this sounds dry, guys, but follow along with me here. The Supreme Court heard a case in the United States versus the Philadelphia National Bank. And it was in this case that the Supreme Court, with precedence, set what the actual threshold is that would lessen competition or tend to create a monopoly. And that number, the Supreme Court said, is 30%. Here's what the States versus Philadelphia National Bank. The court held a horizontal merger, and that's exactly what Paramount buying Warner Brothers is. But a horizontal merger resulting in a single firm controlling at least 30%. There's the number. That's the threshold. Controlling at least 30% of a relevant market creates a presumption that the merger is inherently anti-competitive and unlawful under Section 7 of the Clayton Act. So, the Clayton Act says you're not going to be allowed to do a merger if it lessens competition and tends to create a monopoly. Well, what's the threshold? The Supreme Court of the United States said that the threshold is 30%. If your merger results in you controlling 30% or more of an industry, that's anti-competitive, that could lead to a monopoly, not allowed. Okay, so there we are. Now we've got to ask the question about, does that apply to Paramount trying to take over Warner Brothers? The state's attorney general are saying that, hey guys, the law says if a merger results in over a 30% control in an industry, that's anti-competitive and that's against the law. So what happened was, you guys remember, they had an initial hearing where the states were trying to get a temporary restraining order against stopping Paramount from merging with Warner Brothers until a trial was done. And in that hearing, the judge made this ruling and gave this opinion. Listen to this. The judge said in her ruling on July 20th of 2026, the plaintiff states presented compelling evidence that the combined firm resulting from the transaction, so Paramount and Warner Brothers, will possess substantial market share in the wide release theatrical distribution market. On this combined firm market share alone, the court is persuaded that it can presume that the proposed merger is likely to violate antitrust law. All right. So, step one, the law says you can't have a merger if it creates anti-competitive environment and could lead to a monopoly. Step two, the Supreme Court says that that threshold is 30%. Step three, a judge has already heard evidence and ruled that, yep, it looks like the states are going to prove that this merger will result in this combined company having more than 30% control. Therefore, it's against the law, and therefore they are likely to succeed when the trial is done. This, guys, is exactly why David Ellison came out and threw his hissy fit. This is why he's now panicking. Is because the law is clear, as set by the Supreme Court. If a merger results in over a 30% control of an industry, that violates Section 7 of the Clayton Act, and therefore the merger cannot be allowed to happen. That's exactly why the state's attorneys general are bringing the lawsuit, because it breaks the law. Period. Again, I'm not naive enough to pretend like there's no political stuff involved. Listen, it's so clear that there was absolutely political stuff in the federal government's Department of Justice letting it slide, and there's definitely some political influence here in the states doing it, but none of that matters. The law says can't have a merger if it controls more than 30%. This is a thing that will result in it controlling more than 30%. Now, let's move on from that to the other big, completely piece of misinformation that keeps getting thrown around out there whenever the topic of Paramount's merger with Warner Brothers comes up. Well, how come nobody objected when Disney took over Fox? Dear God, nobody remembers past last Tuesday, I swear to God. Anyway, the reality is every union did object to Disney taking over Fox. And as a matter of fact, guys, the Department of Justice did sue. They did sue Disney and Fox's merger. That happened. That was a real thing. So let's take a look at this as we get into all this. So they did sue Disney to stop the merger with Fox. Well, then why didn't that lawsuit work? That's the right question. Why did the lawsuit go away? Why did the Department of Justice stop their legal action to prevent Disney from taking over Fox? That's the right question, and that's what we're going to get into right now. Okay, so let's go back to the headline that we started with here. That Paramount is now saying CNN is on the table to resolve the California suit over Warner Brothers. Well, the reason that isn't enough, and the reason that doesn't really mean anything, you guys now know, is because just taking CNN off the table does not bring this merger below that 30% threshold. You can take CNN off the table, but it doesn't change anything. You are still over the 30% threshold of industry control that is a violation of the law. So that doesn't change anything. So here's the thing. What the states is saying is that Paramount is offering behavioral remedies, right? This is the key term. Remember this, guys. Behavioral remedies. They're saying, we promise that we'll put out 30 films per year. We promise that CNN will be run fairly. We super duper promise to treat writers well. We promise under the college of trust me, bro. But these are what's called behavioral remedies that, hey, we promise that we'll act in such a way. The problem is what the states have said is they want structural remedies. They want the structure of the deal to change to bring that control percentage under 30%, which will then be in accordance with the law. Promising to put out 30 films a year doesn't change the fact that you're a monopoly. Promising to, we'll let CNN run independently doesn't change the fact that you're exceeding the 30% threshold that the Supreme Court said violates the Clayton Act. Promising that will be really good to the writers does not change the fact that it is still antitrust and anti-competitive. You have to make structural changes to the deal in order to bring it under. Now that brings us to Disney. Okay. This brings us to Disney. And I typed this out earlier so I don't have to type it all out again. So here's the thing. The Department of Justice did sue to stop the Disney-Fox merger. Every time you see somebody say, well, how come they didn't? Say, yes, they did. Because on June 27th of 2018, the Department of Justice filed a federal antitrust complaint, the United States versus the Walt Disney Company, alleging that Disney's acquisition of Fox violated this same law, Section 7 of the Clayton Act. Okay, so now you may ask, well, why didn't that succeed? Here's why. The state said to Disney, okay, we will back off the lawsuit, or the Department of Justice, which was under a Republican White House at the time, by the way, and they rightfully brought this lawsuit. The Department of Justice required that Disney had to sell off all 22 Fox regional sports networks to a third party, which eventually got sold to Sinclair. Also, they had to separately, to comply with the FCC rules and antitrust concerns, Fox, before the deal would go through, had to spin off the Fox Broadcast Network, Fox News, FS1, and Fox Business into a separate company that would no longer be part of the acquisition, in a new company that today is called Fox Corporation, rather than selling them to Disney. So Disney was going to buy Fox, but guess what, guys? Fox still exists today in the frame of Fox Sports, Fox FS1, FS2, FS the Ocho, whatever they call it, Fox Business, Fox News, Fox Broadcasting, all that separate, still exists. It's separate. Disney doesn't own it. Because the Department of Justice was not just concerned about the theatrical stuff, they were also concerned that Disney was going to control too much of television and broadcast and all that kind of stuff. So, and we're going to go back to this magic phrase here, the Department of Justice, they looked for a structural remedy to say, change the structure of your deal. Take out all these huge pieces, all these massive pieces, take them out of the deal, and we'll feel more comfortable with you moving ahead. And this, to me, guys, this is the roadmap, I believe, for a Paramount settlement with the states. It's not in behavioral remedies. Trust me, bro. It's not in those. Oh, I pinky swear we'll put out 30 films a year. It's not that. You have to change what you're acquiring. That might mean taking HBO Max out of the deal. that might mean taking out all the television networks. TNT, what's the other one? The other one starts with a T. I was going to say TNA, TNT, TBS, TBS, CNN, the 15 other networks involved. It might mean taking out the movie studio, maybe keep HBO Max and all that kind of stuff. But here's the problem. As long as they just say, no, we want everything. Well, that wasn't going to work for Disney and Fox. That wouldn't have, if Disney didn't give up all those assets, that deal never would have gone through. It would have been a violation of the Clayton Act. So if Paramount is serious and they come to the table and say, we are willing to slice out these 5 networks and HBO and this, does that satisfy you guys? Because remember, here's another big thing about this lawsuit, guys, is this. It's not just theatrical. It's now streaming, which, yeah, there was Hulu at the time, but that streaming was nowhere near as big of a thing now. They're also in violation of the Clayton Act over streaming. It's broadcast TV. It's all 3 of these things. It's theatrical, it's streaming, and it's broadcast. And the lawsuit says this is in violation of all of them. It violates the Clayton Act with theatrical. It violates the Clayton Act with streaming. It violates the Clayton Act with broadcast. I think if Paramount came to the table and said, okay, look, we'll take care of 2 out of the 3. We'll divest ourselves of the streaming, so that takes care of streaming, and we'll divest ourselves of enough of the television stuff that it takes us under the threshold for television. If we do all that, will you turn a blind eye to that we may still be over 30% with theatrical? And I think the states will say yes. Or maybe they just sell off, they don't include Warner Brothers Pictures, but they keep all the streaming and they keep all the television. I think that would be enough for the states to go, good enough. That's enough compromise. But guys, all them just saying, oh, we'll just give up CNN. That
one channel, no.
That doesn't do anything. That
and they actually didn't even
move the
say
needle.
They didn't even say give it up. They said we'll have a independent board to make sure that it stays independent, placed by us.
Yeah, but at least they say it's on the table, right? At least they're saying that. But again, it's going to take serious structural remedies, not a behavioral remedy. Anyway, guys, I know that was a lot of legal stuff. I know that was a lot of dry powder. I get it. But I think that information is incredibly vital because everybody out there is just giving these opinions about this thing when they have no idea what they're talking about. It's okay to have whatever opinion you want as long as your opinion is based on the actual information. So you can have all the actual information, and if you think there's nothing wrong with this deal, that's perfectly fine as long as you understand the actual information. Anyway, Chris, I know I just droned on a lot about this, but I just think everything about this is so important for people to understand. Anyway, seeing this, you now see that Paramount is saying, hey, we'll put CNN on the table. Is that enough to get this done? Is it not? And how do you see this whole thing playing out?
I'm embarrassed, Johnny. You took all my talking points. Everything you said.
Did I steal your thunder?
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. I understood it all the way, man. No, I mean, this is one of those topics that it's like, it's in the movie space. I constantly see the headlines of it, but I don't talk about it much on my channel because I know I'm not too educated to speak on it. All right. I feel like lost in these lawsuits and things that could happen or what's going on. And it's one of the benefits of why I like watching your show because you dive deep into that stuff. But yeah, there are people who confidently speak on these. They see a headline, they think, oh, I get what they're doing. This should be it. And then that's how you get a bunch of lies spread out and things like that. So it's really refreshing for you to spell it out this way. For me, I just see more problems and more problems with this. I don't see how it actually goes through. I think only person who ends up winning in the end is Warner Brothers, and I think that is just for the back end deals of when if the deal isn't done on time, the $7 million a day and all this stuff. At the end, I think Warner Brothers wins whether this thing goes through or not.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about all this? Again, I acknowledge I just plodded through a lot of dry, just pure information, but I think it's important information. I hope you guys found it useful. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, this Sunday, the new DC series Lanterns, after 7 years of development, 3 different sets of showrunners, 4 different sets of writers, and a lot of iterations that have gone into it, is finally coming to our television screens on HBO Max. And I've been getting really excited about it. I thought the last trailer for it was just absolutely phenomenal. So much better than the first trailer that they put out. Yeah. Anyway, we are here, and today they gave us a nice, pleasant little surprise. I didn't have it on my bingo card, but today they dropped the first 5 minutes of Lanterns for us to watch. And so as quick as my chubby little fingers could click, I clicked over and I watched those 5 minutes. And can I just say, it was a masterclass in not taking a ton of screen time to set a lot of stuff up. In 5 minutes, 5 simple, tiny minutes, they set up for us when Green Lantern was revealed to the world, how long they've known his identity, a basic understanding of Hal Jordan's personality. We got to see an entire origin story for John with his dad and his background and his family and this the idea of no fear and where that came from and the abusive household he came out of. And then in like 30 seconds, we get an instant understanding of the nature of the relationship between Hal and John. When he's like, just, you can see him, he's outside waiting and waiting and waiting. He pulls up, doesn't even look at him, gets in the car. I'm late. Like all of that was all done in 5 minutes. Lesser storytellers would have taken like 25 or 30 to done it. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of one of the greatest comic book movies ever made, X-Men 2. There's this scene in X-Men 2 that I think is one of the best scenes ever for something like this in any movie about accomplishing tons without using a lot of screen time. There's a moment where Bobby and Pyro they go to Bobby's house, his family's house, and they're just walking through the house. And in just a moment, Pyro looks up and sees this picture on the wall of Bobby and his family. And it's a loving family picture, right? And then the camera cuts back to Pyro's face for just a couple of seconds. And everything on Pyro's face, looking at this picture of Bobby with a loving family, gave us 20 minutes of screen time's worth of understanding of this character and his background. It was one of the most brilliant shots ever of accomplishing a lot with very, very little screen time. And so I'm watching these first 5 minutes, and that's how I felt again. I felt like, oh my God, look how much ground they covered in 5 minutes. And then everything from that, the tension of when the dad says, step outside. Like, I'm like, oh my God. And like everything about that, just the TV interview, like all of it, I loved it. Now maybe guys, maybe this is like the first 25 minutes of Lightyear where, oh my God, that opening was great. And then the rest of the movie's crap. Maybe this thing goes right off the cliff, but I thought these first 5 minutes were great. Not only because they were just great in and of itself to watch, but also because of what they narratively accomplished in such a short amount of time. I thought it was wonderful. Anyway, Chris, you had a chance to watch the first 5 minutes of Lanterns. What did you think about it? And then does that decrease your hopes or thoughts about where we might go from here?
No, yeah. I was like you, whenever this notification popped up that the first 5 minutes of Lanterns had appeared, I immediately sat down and I got to watching it because I've been very excited for this show. Of course, I've had my skepticisms, but this first 5 minutes, let me know. I'm in for a good time here. I love the world building, like you said. They establish so much, and it's one of the benefits of a lived-in world that James Gunn is trying to give us, right? It's like just saying on the TV, oh, for 10 years we've had a Green Lantern, it's just normal. And you get the way John as a kid already idolized Hal, and then even that scene with his father, which I was like, okay, that's crazy that's punishment for the kids, just
Oh
apple
my
on your head.
God.
But you see in that scene, there's other bullet holes. So that's not the first time. That's a reoccurring punishment, and that's a crazy household to grow up in. It sets up dynamics so well. So I love these first 5 minutes, and I'm so intrigued to that relationship that the between John and Hal, on how that's just that I'm late. I think that's gonna be so good. So yeah, I love these 5 minutes.
I'll tell you what though, too, is that look, I said from the day that they said this was going to be an HBO Max series. HBO Max, there is the odd abbreviation here and there, or aberration, I should say, here and there that happens, sure. But for the most part, HBO Max doesn't miss. They just don't miss. I mean, the last time HBO Max did a DC show, we got Penguin, and
Yeah.
that's
Good
one of
point.
the that's
Yeah.
one of the single greatest comic book things on television ever. I mean, it was riveting from start to finish. And I've got to say, I think, and this might not be a good thing, my expectations have gone up. And that's, I don't want to have super high expectations because then you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. But my expectations have gone up a lot. Well, Jonathan, you saw the first 5 minutes. What did you think, and how did it shift, or did it shift your expectations at all?
I think we're in for a treat. I think we're going to have just tonally, I just think we're going to be rich, with this
Yes.
series. I think every episode, it's much like how Game of Thrones can set a tone, and again, that's HBO. I think just from what I'm seeing, like you said, it could be different, but I just think we're going to be looking forward to week by week. Which, by the way, I'm so glad this is week by week and not all at once. That we're just going to be like, I don't know, just in this vibe the whole episode. And I think we're going to be looking forward to talking about each episode, when we come back.
Which we will be doing.
That's just
for
my
sure.
prediction. That can only be a prediction. Don't hold me to that if it sucks,
I also have this. I have this prediction. I think we are going to find, now I don't know this, by the way, this is just me as a fan speculating, but here's my prediction. I think we're going to find out that everything we've seen in the trailers will be in the first 2 episodes of the show. I think
probably
everything
so.
I think everything we've seen in the trailers is going to be in the first 2 episodes of the show, and that we will then be going into uncharted territory that we'll have no idea where we're going from there. But I'm excited.
I would also say to anyone who might, and I don't think many people are, but don't expect this thing to lead into Man of Tomorrow or anything like that.
Agreed.
Yes, it's the same world, but don't watch this because you thought this was going to be like, oh, this is the pretext to. I don't think that's the case.
The biggest thing I want this show to do is just to rebrand the Green Lanterns, because the Ryan Reynolds movie still did so much damage to a lot of people, and it felt like we were just not allowed to touch Green Lantern for a while. And so I know Guy Gardner's already done some repairing, and people liked him from Superman, but I feel like this flavor of the seriousness and the angle they're going with, I really hope this re-ups the Green Lantern brand.
Here's another prediction I have. I was like everybody else a few months ago, where I'm like, yeah, I think even though Hal Jordan is my Green Lantern, I think they're going to kill Hal Jordan in the series. I'm changing that prediction.
I never held on to that.
I'm changing my prediction. Because remember at the beginning of Hawkeye, which I didn't really like the Hawkeye series, to be honest. I love the Hawkeye character, but I didn't love the Hawkeye series. But at the beginning of Hawkeye, a lot of people thought that we were going to see Clint get killed, and that Kate was going to become the new Hawkeye. But instead what happened, that didn't happen, right? So here's what I think happens. My guess is, and again, I don't know. I'm just guessing like everybody else. I could be 1,000% wrong. Here's my guess. My guess is we get to the end of this season and Hal's still alive, but Hal relinquishes the ring to John. And then whereas John starts the series in the trailers as the backup quarterback, I think Hal becomes the backup at that point. I think Hal relinquishes the ring to John. John becomes the main Green Lantern. All due respect to Nathan Fillion, but John becomes the main Green Lantern, and that Hal takes on the role of mentor and backup to that. So I could be totally wrong. Again, I like where Uto is thinking in the live chat there. Parallax, because you guys remember the comic book story. Hal Jordan becomes Parallax. Just saying. I don't know if they'll do that, but that's just my guess. He's probably going to die. I mean, he's probably going to die, but I'm going to go with he lives at the end. We'll find out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you see the first 5 minutes of not Greenland? I keep wanting to call it Green Lantern, Lanterns. If so, what did you think about it? I thought it looked great. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to bid good afternoon to Chris Parker. Chris, awesome as always having you here. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Have a good one, my friend.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Till next week.
And, of course, our technical director, Jonathan Voico. Jonathan, we will speak to you tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Tomorrow's Friday. I can't believe this week is already.
I cannot
over.
believe. Tomorrow is D23. You know what?
Yeah.
John, I'm having a ton of people asking me if we're going to do the coverage of D23, and I keep saying no. I keep saying no. I've said no. But so many people are asking me. I'm wondering if we should do that. I don't know.
I'm open to it, but if there's not going to be like a big stadium event, how do we cover it? I mean, are we just like
we'd have to cover it the same way we covered Comic-Con.
Refreshing Twitter.
We just have to keep an eye on Twitter and on the sites. For going on, but I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, we'll talk to you guys later. All right, guys, let's now get over and start taking your comments and questions here, shall we? Now, just so you know, I did turn off super chats well over a half hour ago because you guys just filled them up way too fast. So we've got a ton to get through. I let way more come in than I normally let come in, so I'm going to have to move a little bit quickly here today. But let's not waste any time and get right to it, shall we? We are going to start off here with who is first up? Atlee is first up. And Atlee writes, legendary show. Oh, thank you so much. You are appreciated. Thank you, man. How about a Europe movie meetup? Joke, haha, maybe after retirement. Well, yeah, I mean, there are two problems with a European movie meetup. Number one, who's going to pay for it? That's a very expensive movie meetup. That's a very expensive one for me to do. Secondly, movie meetups are basically limited to where I can drive my van to. But who knows? Who knows? I'm not going to say never, but who knows? All right, EJ Tan writes, what's up, John? Hope you're having a great day. Over under 40% that Avengers Doomsday opens to 380 million opening weekend domestically. I absolutely believe that Doomsday can beat the Spider-Man Brand New Day record of 360. I wouldn't bet $100 that it will, but I believe it can. I believe it can, even with Dune 3 opening. I think it's going to be a massive weekend. But 380? It's possible, but I'll take the under. I'll take under 40% that I can do that. By the way, side note, guys, about movie meetups. I am currently in the planning stages of the next couple of legs of the movie meetup. I generally don't do it in the heart of the summer because it's so hot, but I will be announcing the next movie meetup in the next couple of weeks. I already know Nashville will be one of the stops. So people in Nashville, get ready. I already know Atlanta will be one of the stops. And I'm trying to figure out what the other stops are going to be. Maybe Houston, maybe another one. Anyway, and then the next leg of the movie meetup after that, or maybe before it, who knows, is going to be a Canadian swing. So probably starting in Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon, maybe Winnipeg, and then getting into Ontario. Then maybe on the eastern states, maybe I'll get into Montreal, Quebec, we'll see. But just so you know, that's what's coming up. Keep your eyes open. All right, let's get back over to the questions here. Bobby Jackson writes, you mentioned going to a Screen X at Cinemark the other day. I did, had a great time. And wanted to let you know there's a Screen X at the Irvine Spectrum too. I heard that after I went to the one in Orange, I found out that that movie theater, I really like the Regal at Irvine at the Spectrum Center. I really like that theater. I did not know there was a Screen X in it, but I do now. So thank you for reminding me of that, Bobby. All right, next up. Anowak writes, where's John's Green Lantern suit? You know what? I do have a Green Lantern shirt. I should have worn it today. Why didn't I not break out my Green Lantern shirt today? You're right. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that I forgot to do that, man. All right. Eric writes, John, I love Star Wars, so it's sad for me to say I'm not excited for anything coming out, but I'm hoping Starfighter is good. Listen, that's not on you, Eric. That's on Star Wars. Star Wars has left us in a place that we are not just, as we used to be, inherently excited about anything Star Wars coming out next. I was not excited about Mandalorian and Grogu. First time in, I can't remember ever that anything Star Wars live action coming out that I wasn't excited about. But that's now, Andor was next level, but unfortunately Andor was the exception for the content we've gotten in the last 7 years. So that's not on you. It is up now to Star Wars to win us back. And, well, they don't have to win me. I mean, I'm still there, but I just don't get as normally and as easily excited. Here's hoping Starfighter is going to be the first step in getting everybody just naturally excited about Star Wars again. All right, Eric follows up with, my favorite actor of all time is Philip Seymour Hoffman. You know, I interviewed Philip a couple of times. Just a wonderful dude to talk to. Anyway, but a close second is Gene Hackman. I've been on a binge of Hackman's films, and he's so freaking cool. Definitely in the GOAT conversation. I've always loved Gene Hackman, man. Whether you're talking about French Connection, and I know it gets talked about a lot, but man, Unforgiven. I believe Unforgiven is not even close. I think it's the greatest Western of all time. I think Unforgiven is the greatest Western of all time. And he was absolutely one of the big reasons. Absolutely one of the big reasons it was. Anyway, good picks, Eric. Comic Book Reporter writes, hey, John, how do you feel about the rumor that Avengers Secret Wars will focus on younger characters like Spider-Man, Kate Bishop, America Chavez, etc.? Number one, it's bullshit. Like anybody out there right now telling you they know what happens in Secret Wars is straight up lying. They don't. They may have heard things, but even they're just hearing rumors that are from other rumors. So to be honest with you, it's not even worth talking about. It's not even worth, like, that is like, when people write into me, John, what do you think about this? And I'm like, according to who? I'll always write that back. According to who? John, did you hear that such and such is going to play such and such? And I always just write back, according to who? And so I don't even give that, I don't give that any credence at all, comic book, to be honest with you. Anyway, Yak, no shade on you, Comic Book Reporter, for asking the question. Not at all. I'm just saying I wouldn't even give it the time of day, to be honest. All right, Yakov writes, will you do live coverage of D23 tomorrow again? Listen, I wasn't planning on it. I've been having enough of you. You know what? Maybe I'll put up a poll. You know what? That's what we'll do. We got thousands of you guys in the live chat right now. I'll put up a poll. Let me see here. Can I get this done? Yes. Start a poll. And it's not, do you think I should do it? I'm going to ask you guys if you would tune in if I do it. Would you tune in tomorrow if we did live coverage of the news coming out of D23? Yes or no? Be honest, guys. Like, say no. Like, no, I'm not going to be around tomorrow night sitting in front of my computer just picking up pieces of news coming out from Twitter. But so say no, but I'll put up a poll. If you guys want me to, I'll do it. But for now, my answer is no. We'll come back to the poll a little bit later. All right. Next up, we've got Thomas, who writes, hey, John, big Naruto fan. I'm always told I'm saying that wrong, so forgive me. Big Naruto manga fan. which was really about loneliness, the monster within, and friendship. After watching Brand New Day, I am thrilled Cretton is bringing the live action version of that to the West. Now, just so you know, some of you may not know, the director of Shang-Chi, Wonder Man, and now Spider-Man Brand New Day, Destin Daniel Cretton, he is directing a live action version of, again, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Naruto, something like that. Anyway, I clearly don't care about it. And that's not saying anybody else shouldn't care about it. It's just not for me. That's all. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not my cup of tea. Not for me. That's fine. But I am thrilled for people who are fans of that material, because you're getting one of the best guys in the business right now making it. So I hope he does a great job for you guys. I really, really do. All right, next up, Rick writes, hey, John, looks like they've released Avengers Doomsday tickets a day early. Tickets for Avengers Doomsday are on sale now. Now, are you talking about the ones that are in the Infinity Vision screens? Or are you talking about like even just a regular screen? Because according to the reports, they were saying tomorrow they would put the tickets on sale for even the regular screens. But the tickets for AMC XL, 4DX, the Cinemark large screen format, AMC's Dolby Prime screens, all types of screens, those have been on sale for a while. But the regular, normal, vanilla movie theater screens are supposed to go on sale tomorrow. Are you saying those went on sale today? If they did, that's great. I mean, I've already got my tickets. So I'm excited, but hopefully everybody can get their hands on them. All right, next up, Jacob writes, sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Jacob. Appreciate that, man. And Jacob writes, says, John, I'm late to mention this, but we have a Screen X and 4DX in Temecula too. Really? I like Temecula. For those of you who don't know where Temecula is, I live in Riverside, California, which is about an hour east of Los Angeles. So how can I do this? If this is LA, if this is LA up here, San Diego is down here. Riverside is about over here. So I'm only about an hour and a half to San Diego. Right in the middle between where I am in Riverside and in San Diego is the city called Temecula. It's actually a beautiful city. I really like Temecula. It's a smaller town, but it's beautiful. I really like Temecula. And I used to go there a lot because one of my favorite poker rooms actually used to be there at a casino called the Pachanga Casino. They don't have a poker room anymore. Anyway, but I love Temecula. I did not know they had those screens there. Jacob, I may have to get down there and check that out at some point. Thank you for that, man. All right. Next up, we've got Michael J, who also sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Michael J. And Michael J writes, hey, John, today marks 5 years since losing my dad. Oh, that's a horrible anniversary, man. Sorry to hear that. One of many cherished memories is him taking me to my first R-rated film, Unforgiven. We were just talking about Unforgiven. What's a movie you love, not just for how good it was, but for who you were with? Well, I often talk about the fact that my earliest memory, and I don't have one for many years after it, but my earliest memory is watching Star Wars with my mom. I was like 4 or 5 years old. And then I don't have another memory of till like years later after that. I'd have to say though, I think, and I have many with my family, but I have to say that I think it was when me and my best friend, Brendan Russell, this is the first time I'd ever done it, taken the bus to downtown Hamilton to go to the Lloyd D. Jackson Square's Famous Players movie theater to see Tim Burton's Batman. Brendan and I were both young, and it was the first time that I went downtown on my own. Well, I had Brendan with me, but it was the first time I went downtown on my own. And it was the first time I'd ever seen a lineup for a movie. I'd never seen that before. Saw a lineup for a movie, and me and Brendan going in to watch Tim Burton's Batman. Brendan passed away a few years ago, which, many of you guys who follow my career, that was one of the big things that got me to leave Collider. Anyway, but that is always will be one of my most cherished memories. Somebody's saying, surprised you didn't say like your first date with Ann. My first date with Ann wasn't to a movie. So like we went to dinner and anyway. So if my first date with Ann was a movie, that would have been on the list. But yeah, it wasn't. All right. Thank you for that, man. Appreciate that, dude. And thank you for supporting us in that level, Michael. Next up, EJ Tan just sends in a $20 super chat badge to be supportive. Thank you, EJ. Appreciate that, man. Culture Wars Diplomacy writes, I know you're not an anime fan. Have you checked out Ninth Jedi? I'm on episode 3 and I like it so far. No. I'm also not as ravenous of a Star Wars guy as I am. I also don't really watch a lot of Star Wars animated stuff. I mean, there was Rebels. I really liked Rebels. I'm not a big fan of Clone Wars. I think they're, what's the Star Wars series called? Imagination or that thing they put out a few years ago where every episode was like a different story and a different style. Guys in the live chat, help me out here. What was the name of that? It wasn't Star Wars Imagination. It was Star Wars Visions. Thank you. Michael Gonzalez was the first one to put that in there. I thought Star Wars Visions was hit and miss. Like 1 or 2 of them were really good. And then a couple of them were just like just a style thing that I didn't think was so good. Oh yeah, I will say Darth Maul. What was the Darth Maul one called? It wasn't just called Darth Maul. It was called something. The one that was just out. That was really good. That was really good. So I liked Rebels and I like Shadow Lord. That's what it was called. Thank you, Diego. Darth Maul Shadow Lord. That was really good. I wasn't expecting a lot out of it, but it was really good. So I like a lot of animation. I'm just, not really big on a lot of Star Wars animation, unfortunately, which is weird because I'm such a huge Star Wars guy. Anyway, Benji writes, I enjoy Marvel, but TV shows made me feel like I was falling behind. Yeah. Will future movies be easier to follow without having to watch everything? That is vital for their success moving forward. And it's something that Kevin Feige has said is going to be a new commitment to a new priority for them. So ideally, and according to Kevin Feige, Benji, yes, they're going to make sure that you don't have to do homework moving forward to watch a lot of stuff, thankfully. All right. And they're going to cut back on the amount of TV they do as well, I believe. All right. Mark H writes, hey, John, did you notice MJ was calm when hanging onto Spidey, swinging from her apartment to the rooftop, and totally freaking out later when swinging from the street to Frank's place? Yes. Yeah, but that didn't mean anything at the time because we hadn't seen her freak out first. Like if we had seen her as MJ swinging through the city with Spider-Man and freaking out, that might have given us some indication about what was to come, but it didn't. So they did that little bit of a difference and it was a nice tone, but it didn't foreshadow anything, fortunately. All right, next up, Bear Den writes, first super chat. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Just want to say I love your content and thanks, dude. Listen, I love every comment that comes in, but there's something really special when somebody wants to support the channel, send in a super chat for no other reason than just to say something affirming and kind. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me, Bear Den. And thank you for making that your first one. I appreciate it very much, my friend. All right. Curtis Lopez writes, will you be doing a live video of social media coverage of the Disney Studio panel at D23 tomorrow? All right, let's go over and take a look. See what the, well, only 400 of you guys have voted. Come on, there's thousands of you guys in the live chat, but only 400 of you have voted. But 87% of you are saying you would watch it if we did that tomorrow night. 87%. All right. Fine. We'll do it. I'll check to see if Jonathan's available to join me. So yes, we will do that tomorrow. So yeah. Okay. You guys won. You win. You wore me down. We'll do it tomorrow. Probably start at maybe 10 minutes before the thing starts. All right. We'll talk about that. Let's get back into it here. All right. Next up. We got Christopher Brickner who writes, I love this John Oliver joke. First of all, I love John Oliver. I didn't realize the existence of repeated unsuccessful attempts was good news. That's huge for DC movies. It's true. When did he say that? I got to hear that. I love John Oliver. John Oliver is a national treasure, man. A national gift treasure from England. He is the best. All right. Let's see here. Joe Adonis T says, John, are they still doing the big presentation at the Honda Center? I don't think they are. See, that's why I wasn't going to cover it this year, because that was great when they did that big show and dance from the Honda Center. It was a great idea. Again, that is something Comic-Con needs to take notes from. But I don't think they are. So I think they're just going to do it in their regular little... Oh, somebody's saying they are doing it at the Honda Center. Are they? I thought they weren't. If they are, it's absolutely the right thing for them to be doing. So some people in the live chat are saying they are doing it from the Honda Center. All right, but they're not streaming it, right? I saw no information about them streaming it. But at least it's good if they're doing it from the Honda Center. Again, that is something Comic-Con needs to learn from. Wolf Motz writes, hey, John, depending on how good Starfighter is, will help gauge my excitement for Ghost Rider. I don't think I'm alone in that thinking. I don't know. I mean, it's got, they're the same director, but why just base it on Starfighter? Like, why not look at all the other work Sean has done, right? Why not look at Deadpool and Wolverine or the Atom Project or like all the, freaking, what's the name of that Hugh Jackman Rock'em Sock'em Robots one that's so freaking good? Real Steel? Yeah. Oh God, I love Real Steel. I always wish that's a sequel. That's a sequel that I really wish had gotten made, was Real Steel. That movie is so underappreciated. I love that movie. I wish they had done a sequel to that. But anyway, let's say Starfighter stumbles a bit. That doesn't take away from all the other amazing work that he's done, right? So I mean, I understand. I do. I get it. But that's a very much what have you done for me lately philosophy, rather than just basing your excitement for Ghost Rider on that one film, Starfighter. Why not look at the wider thing of his work and determine on that? But I get the temptation to do that. I do. All right. Let's see. Next up, we've got Disney Gifts who writes, hey, John, is the Little Shop of Horrors remake dead? I haven't heard anything in a while. I don't know if it's dead, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it is, but I am in the same boat as you in that I haven't heard a lick about it in forever. Now, sometimes no news is good news. Like sometimes you don't want news coming out. Sometimes that just means that something is progressing as scheduled and as planned quietly behind the scenes. Sometimes no news isn't good news because maybe there's nothing happening, but I'm in that same boat as you. I haven't heard anything about it in ages, which leads me to suspect it's dead. But I mean, don't know. Let's keep our ears open. Good question though, Disney. Dom writes, I started watching your show during a hardship earlier this year. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. Since January, your show has been an everyday routine to tune into. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, John, for your hard work. I appreciate that. And thank you so much. You know, I love hearing from folks like you, Dom, because I often hear a lot from a lot of people, which is amazing, who write and say, John, been watching since Man of Steel, or John, been watching since I graduated high school and I have 4 kids now, or John, I've been watching since the movie blog days. Like that's always great to hear. But I also love hearing from people like yourself, who's like just started watching within the last year. It's still amazing to me that I've been doing this. First of all, it's amazing to me I've been doing this as long as I've been doing it. But it's amazing to me that we are still getting new people joining us on this crazy journey. So thank you for that, man. Great to hear from you. Thank you, my friend. All right, next up. We got Jarita who writes, according to Mike Flanagan, The Dark Tower has scripts ready, but no filming date or castings were announced yet. Do you have some estimate when it could start filming and some casting ideas? Flanagan has The Mist to do, to film, and Exorcist post-production. The reality is, as far as I understand, They're not even greenlit yet. To the best of my knowledge right now, they're not even greenlit yet. They have not greenlit the project. Now, a lot of people still misunderstand that just because a studio commissions a script getting written and that kind of stuff, that means a movie's been greenlit. It doesn't. It just means we'll put some money behind getting something together. And then once we get a script and an idea of what we're going to do with it, then we make the decision about whether to give it the official green light, commit a whole bunch of money to it, and really put in process. To the best of my knowledge, the Dark Tower stuff has not been greenlit. Now, maybe it has and I just didn't hear about it. But until an official full green light gets given, we're not going to hear much about directors and actors and anything like that. So, yeah, again, to the best of my knowledge, they have not greenlit it yet. So that's the most I've got for you right now. My information might be out of date, but that's what I've got right now. Anyway, thanks for asking, Jarita. Next up, Nicholas writes, "Hey, John, long time, first time. Thank you so much. Oh my God, and sending like a $30 super chat. Thank you, Nicholas." And Nicholas writes, "Do you know what ends up happening with the Odyssey 70mm prints?" That's a very good question. Do they go back to the studio or do they stay with the theaters? Could they play the Odyssey once a week forever at this point? No. Yeah, like even if they did keep the reels, which I don't think they don't get to do. Believe they have to be sent back. But even if they just keep the reels, that doesn't give you the right to play it. Right? Whenever you want to play, if you're a movie theater, whenever you want to play a movie in your theater, you have to enter into an agreement and a contract, an exhibition contract with the distributor, right? So if you want to keep playing it in your theater, you can do that if you sign a contract and an agreement with the distributor, of which the distributor is going to say, yeah, you can keep showing it, but you got to give us X amount of money every time you play it, which then may or may not be worth it to you. But no, I believe that those prints all go back to the distributors and then are either destroyed or archived. Like I think a 70mm IMAX print for it's such a unique thing. I got to imagine they're going to put it into a salt cave somewhere. And I mean that literally. Like I've got to imagine they're like, the 70mm copies of Odyssey have got to go into some salt cave somewhere to maintain them, I believe. Somebody's saying they still have reels. Well, yes, for the 70mm Odyssey thing, it's film. It's actual literal 70mm film. For most films today, it's hard drives, right? And those either got to be sent back. Sometimes they're digitally downloaded now. Sometimes they're physically delivered. So all that kind of stuff. But for the reels of the film, it's got to be returned. As far as I understand, Nicholas, that's an excellent question. It's not one that you'd have to ask much today, but yeah, for the 70mm IMAX, that is a relevant question. All right. Next up, we go to Wolfmots, who writes, part 1. Though I personally don't think Ned remembers Peter, I saw a theory that may have made a spell in No Way Home they did with a handshake with the sling. I don't think so. Part 2, Ring, that made a bond between both of them and Ned may actually remember Peter after awakening the spell. I don't think so. It's funny because it was actually Chris, 3C Films, that the first time I watched Spider-Man No Way Home, this is a little bit of a spoiler. It's an afterthought spoiler. It's a detail thing. It's nothing to the main story of the film or anything like that. But just to give you a bit of warning, but I forgot after my first viewing about the scene of Peter going out of MJ's window and MJ going, "Peter, be careful," or whatever she says. And Ned looks at her and says, "Spider-Man's name is Peter?" Like I totally forgot about that. So at the end of the film, when Ned looks at him and goes, Peter, like I thought, wait a minute, how is he suddenly remembering? The spell doesn't just get broken like that. And then it was Chris, 3C Films, remind me, no, John, he's just putting 2 to 2 together that he heard MJ call Spider-Man Peter. And now he's just realizing Peter, right? So no, I don't believe because if he did, that gets rid of the meaning of the title of the film, Brand New Day. Peter starting with a clean sheet. So no, I do not believe that, that Ned knows or remembers at the end. Nothing happened that would substantially change a spell by the Sorcerer Supreme. So no, I don't believe he remembers. All right. Next up, Christopher Brickner writes, 2000 Star Wars fan, the prequels are now considered an underrated masterpiece. What caused that? They are absolutely not considered underrated masterpieces. You'll get some misguided people out there that think so. That's fine. 2020 Star Wars fan, let me tell you the story of the Rise of Skywalker. And by the way, I often made the joke. I haven't done it in a long time, but I used to often make the joke way back in the day. Friends don't let friends watch the Star Wars prequels. Now, but that is said in a facetious way. All film is subjective. If you like those horrendous pieces of garbage known as the Star Wars prequels, I'm not joking. I'm literally thrilled that you do. Honestly, I want people to love every movie they watch, even if it's movies I don't like. And I hate those insufferable pieces of shit, the Star Wars prequels. But all film is subjective. That's the way they hit me and most rational people. But if they hit you in a way that you love them and you embrace them and they bring you joy, I think that's awesome. Legitimately, no joke. I think that is awesome, and I'm thrilled for you. I'm jealous. I wish I liked them because I'm a Star Wars geek. So I wish I liked them too. But I simply do not. They're total garbage to me. But that doesn't mean they have to be to you. So, yeah, it is kind of funny because I remember when The Force Awakens first came out, or not The Force Awakens, Phantom Menace first came out. I remember people try to rewrite history. I remember literal people, this being on news broadcasts, people coming out of the theater opening night of the Phantom Menace, literally taking off their Jedi cosplay that they wore, throwing it on the ground and lighting it on fire. Like, I remember it being so bad. Documentaries like The People versus George Lucas having to be made. Like, I remember all that, and everybody just forgets. But again, that's what some people felt because film is subjective. And if you enjoyed it, that's great. I will joke and be facetious sometimes about how, rational people don't like the Star Wars prequels. I'm obviously saying that in jest. I think all film's subjective. And again, if you like the Star Wars prequels, more power to you. And I'm actually happy that you do. I wish I did, but I really, really don't. Anyway. All right. Next up, Animesh writes, Warner Brothers discarded Coyote vs. Acme because of the property's past performance, irrespective of the movie's quality. So I'm curious, why even make the movie? I mean, that's the billion-dollar question, right? Now, if I'm not mistaken, let me actually look this up because I want to make sure I'm not wrong about this. Was Coyote versus Acme greenlit and put into production? If I'm not mistaken, I don't think it was the current Warner Brothers that ever greenlit it. I think it was Warner Brothers when it was still under the ownership of AT&T that greenlit it. It was 2018. Yep, which is before David Zaslav took over Warner Brothers. So the movie was greenlit and the initial money was put into the movie. Let's see here. So I'm just going to get my dates right here because I want to make sure I'm not saying. So, yeah. So here's the thing. Coyote versus Acme, it was put into initial development in 2018. The director got attached in 2019. Official green light in 2020. And all the money was spent on it. And Discovery, David Zaslav, never bought Warner Brothers until 2022. So in asking the question, why put it into production, it wasn't David Zaslav's Warner Brothers that ever greenlit it or put it into production. It was the AT&T Warner Brothers that put it into production. Had it been David Zaslav's Warner Brothers, it never would have gotten a green light. It never would have gotten a green light. Because, yeah, exactly to your point, if you knew the movie wasn't going to make any money and you weren't going to release it, even though the movie turned out to be really good, why did you greenlight it in the first place? The answer is they're not the ones that greenlit it. It was the previous owners that greenlit it. And that's what left us where we are. Again, man, I think this movie looks really delightful. I'm very looking forward to watching Coyote versus Acme. I don't think it's going to make any money. It's going to lose all the money in the world, but whatever, it is what it is. All that's left is to see whether we enjoy it. And I have a feeling it's going to be very entertaining. All right. Next up, Packers 1227 writes, theaters differ, but a theater manager I know said their projections show Doomsday getting 9 to 12 more daily screenings than Dune. Could Dune 3 flop? No. Nope. Dune 3. Look, I'm not sitting here saying Dune 3 is going to make $1 billion. Not at all. But Dune 3 is going to make a lot of money. It's going to make a lot of money. 9 more screenings a day, that doesn't really mean much. It just means how much that movie's going to be playing. But listen, guys, they were selling tickets to Dune 3 on eBay for $2,500 a pair. When the tickets go on sale this Tuesday, the expanded tickets go on sale this Tuesday for Dune 3, they're going to sell out in just a couple of hours. Now, again, I'm not sitting here saying Dune 3 is going to be $1 billion film, but a flop? Oh, God, no. God, especially coming off of the best movie of the last 10 years in Dune 2, it is definitely not going to flop. Maybe it makes 600 million. Maybe it makes 900 million. I don't know, but it is definitely not going to flop. It is absolutely going to be profitable. 100%. 100% is going to be profitable. All right. Next up. GK Beetle writes, keep it up. Thank you, man, for the encouragement. You can do it. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Mark Branson writes, John, saw Brand New Day for a 4th time. I'm still on 3. This time in IMAX. Each time you saw the movie, did you see a trailer for Avengers Doomsday? I am 0 for 4. Yeah, at least 2 of the times. I try not to come into a movie theater until the movie's about to start because I didn't pay money. I don't pay money for my monthly membership so I can sit down and watch commercials. So I try to come in as close to when I think the movie's going to start as possible. Twice, though, I still did see Avengers Doomsday trailers. Not the ones they showed at Comic-Con. That's the one we're waiting for them to release, but rather the one that's been out for a while. So yes, I've seen it play there twice. All right. Next up, Luis writes, hey, John, greetings from Peru. Oh, thank you for writing in from Peru, man. I'm Luis. I've been a listener for some time, but this is my first time writing. Well, thank you so much, man. Love the show. I think the big question now is when Aaron Sorkin will finish the script about Paramount's acquisition of Warner Brothers. Oh, he didn't send in a part 2. But listen, okay, so let me try to project or forecast we're going to. Obviously, you're being a little bit facetious, but yes, this whole drama of the Paramount attempt and Netflix's attempt to purchase Warner Brothers is something they got to make a movie about someday. They absolutely got to make a movie about it someday. And it seems right up Aaron Sorkin's alley. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Aaron Sorkin is, I mean, some people contend is the greatest screenwriter of our generation, but Aaron Sorkin is the guy who did West Wing, which is one of the greatest television shows of all time. I do a rewatch every couple of years, like a full series rewatch of The West Wing every couple of years. It's just that good of a show. But he also, of course, wrote The Social Network, and he's got the new thing coming up called The Social Reckoning, which looks awesome, by the way. But yes, something like, Luis, something like a real life telling of the story of Paramount's attempt to take over. Let's see how it all resolves first. But yes, that sounds like something that's right up his alley. All right. Thank you for that, Luis. And I'm glad you wrote in for the first time, man. Appreciate that. Animesh writes, Brand New Day had almost grossed 1.8 billion worldwide. Most probably will cross 2 billion this weekend. So do we expect 2.5 billion now? That's what they started projecting. Right before the second weekend, they started saying that it looks like Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to come in around 2.5 billion, which, guys, I mean, these are historic numbers. I mean, it does not, at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to catch Avengers Endgame. And that's fine. It is still absolutely historic numbers. And yeah, 2.5, 2.6. I think that's looking good right now. I think that's looking pretty good right now, Animesh. All right, next up, Jonathan Gonzalez writes, I know you guys only talk films. What do you think about trailers now being stuck behind a paywall? GTA 6 is releasing their next trailer exclusively on Netflix. Who cares? Who cares? And besides, even if they release it on Netflix, it's going to be on YouTube the next day. Like, nothing is stopping anybody from in their own living room who, first of all, almost everybody has Netflix. Everybody has Netflix. I mean, not literally everybody, but practically everybody has Netflix. And that means everybody sitting at home watching it on their TV can just hold up their phone, record it on Netflix, and put it up on YouTube. It's going to be on YouTube the next day. I really don't care about trailers for video games. I like a lot of video games, but I really don't care about trailers for video games. So who cares? But number two, yeah, they're dropping it exclusively on Netflix, but like 5 minutes after that, if 5 minutes after that, it'll be on YouTube. Don't worry about it. It'll be there. All right. Let's see. Next up, we got Jesus, who writes, and this is our final one of the day. Jesus writes, hey, John, is there a clause in the Warner Brothers Paramount deal preventing Warner Brothers DC from approving major projects? Nope. Until it closes, possibly explaining why DC hasn't announced Wonder Woman or Batman. Nope. Because until a deal closes, you have to operate business as usual. That's actually why even now Paramount and Warner Brothers are having a fight over Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, they're both producing competing versions of Nightmare on Elm Street. They're screwing each other. So business has to go on as normal. I mean, obviously Warner Brothers can't sell off parts of their company while they're waiting for the merger to happen, right? You have to keep all your assets in place. But no, they are just continuing with business as usual. So yeah, there's that. I mean, that doesn't, okay, let me qualify that. That doesn't mean that that's not a thought in their head, right? Because they could absolutely make that a part. It's not in the contract, but it would absolutely could be a part of their thinking process. Like, okay, let's say, trying to think of something really big, like some big, huge, epic World War II thing with a ton of big battle sequences starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt and Denzel Washington and Leonardo DiCaprio, and being directed by Steven Spielberg and all this kind of stuff. And it's going to be like a $275 million movie. And it's going to take 8 months to shoot and all the, okay. If you're in the studio executive offices at that point, and you're looking at that, then it could enter your thought process of, this is a huge undertaking. If there's even a chance that if we get them, new owners come in and go, no, we don't want you to follow through. Do we really want to waste 3 or 4 or 5 months of effort of getting this thing all together just to have it shut down? So again, is that a clause in the contract? I do not believe you can put that in as a clause in the contract because business has to be able to operate as usual. Otherwise, Paramount is already exercising authority over Warner Brothers, and that's not legally allowed to happen. But it doesn't mean it may not be a part of some of their thought process. Do we really want to put in a bunch of energy and effort into something and just have new owners come in and kill it? That, again, I don't think that would affect them very much, but it could be a part of their thinking. It could be a part of their thinking. And all right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to the thousands of you guys still with us here in the live chat. Appreciate you guys being here with us for the show. Of course, a big thank you to all you guys who sent in the super chats, number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow. And I guess also tomorrow night when we do our live coverage of the D23 Disney Pictures presentation from Anaheim. I guess we are doing that tomorrow. That will do it for me for now, guys. Thank you so much for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.